I feel absolutely amazing today. And one of the reasons why I feel amazing is because I choose to. I didn't wake up on the right side of the bed yesterday, and I allowed it to affect how my day rolled out. And so, first and foremost, as Tayla Andre, we talk a lot about your feelings and your emotions and how you could be a good doobie and be an amazing person and have all of these life things figured out. But at the end of the day, none of us have this thing called life figured out. And every day we do nothing more but manage ourselves based on what we learned about ourselves and how we could improve ourselves. We then manage day to day, and sometimes we win and sometimes we fail. Sometimes we lose and sometimes we do an amazing job at managing ourselves. And yesterday I did an absolutely horrible job managing myself. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. It then rolled into a whole lot of me feeling like how I felt. Today, I rolled over on the wrong side of the bed. And you know what it is? It's because I'm not getting the sleep that I need, and I get sleepy. Like people get hangry. I get angry when I don't get enough sleep. Sleep is my vice. I could do without sex. I can do without weed. I can do without alcohol. Like I can do without alcohol. I enjoy weed. I enjoy sex, but I can do without those things. I need sleep. That is my vice. What do you like to do? I like to sleep. But I haven't been getting a lot of sleep, and so I woke up on the wrong side of the bed yesterday, and then it rolled down into me having a horrible day for the day. Today, I didn't wake up on the most amazing side of the bed, but I definitely did acknowledge the fact that I have to take ownership for me and mine and in this moment, and I can either choose to be happy or I can choose to be miserable and allow it to control my life like it controlled my life yesterday. I don't like the outcome of what happened yesterday, even though nothing really happened. It was just my feelings, my emotions, my insights throughout the day, how I traveled the world. And so I choose today, though I'm not having the grandest day, to living my best life. And so it's a choice. You can either be miserable or you can be fantastic. And I wanted to remind you as I look at myself and remind me that today is a choice, and whatever you choose, you have to live with your consequences. We just talked about One United Bank, and you guys know that I am not a fan of One United Bank. I am not a fan of anything, like just anything One United. I'm not a fan of how they are transactionally as far as like technology is concerned. I'm not a fan of how they begin a relationship with someone when you open an account. I'm not a fan with the lack of community investment. I'm not like, there's just multiple layers of me not being a fan of how they conduct themselves, especially one where as media for the last 5 years, I've been reaching out to Terry, reaching out to Kevin, and doing like what needs to be done in order for press to get a hold of XYZ, and for you to be in the city of Boston and not respond to, you know, it's questionable press. And I say that because I have questions. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, black business, woo, 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 like support them. Not like, you have to back up why I have to support you. Like I have questions about the support that I'm giving, and I'm not seeing the support back. And so as far as any type of like criticism or questions, and it's really not even criticism, shut me down. If I'm lying about the 13 loans that you guys failed to give black people in black communities, then be like, nah, Tayla, it wasn't 13. It was 30. Like, shut me down if that's the case. Like, granted, I got those numbers from the inside, but I really do want to have a conversation. And if you feel like I'm not saying the right thing and I'm not bigging up in you and I'm not giving you all of this glory, then give me a reason to say, oh, I apologize. Come sit down, have a conversation about why you guys have been in the community and what you have done. Show me where the receipts at. But they are in the news. One United Bank, the largest black bank in the nation, has more than 100,000 customers. The largest black bank in U.S. has proudly announced that it's achieved a milestone of 100,000 customers after a resurgence of Black Lives Matter movement and focus on racial equality. The One United Bank credited the rise of social justice and activism after the election of President Donald Trump and its technology platform for the growth. And they said that it's unfortunate, but the death of recent black men and Killer Mike standing up and speaking on banking black is why it's so important. And I think it's really, really important. Mind you, remember Killer Mike was all for like black business on his social media. He was like, yo, shout out to One United Bank. And now I read the story yesterday that he is working on his own platform, his own banking system. And so I just want you to 5 seconds, right? Break this down with me 5 seconds. If I already saw that somebody built something and it was established and it's been years that it was established, and wouldn't I want to partner if they're doing this thing? Technically, when most people start a new thing, it's because this thing isn't working. And so Killer Mike isn't the type, Killer Mike isn't the type to like, I've never seen him do like real opposition, like F them over there. He'll just do his own thing and make it better. And so I say that to say, if you bank with One United Bank, you might want to go see Killer Mike, because I definitely am going. I have already been to the website, and somebody's like, Taylor, what are you talking about? Context. So Killer Mike has a bank, and I'll go ahead. It's called Greenwood. So I read the article yesterday. He secured $3 million for Black Digital Bank. And so we here at Spark FM Online are the first Black-owned, New England-based, women-owned digital media company. And so we as a society are getting into the trend of digital everything. So we have digital currency, aka Bitcoin, digital banking, aka like online banking, but in digital media, Spark FM. Make sure you download the app. Shout out to everybody who downloaded the app, sent me screenshots and got their free PDF of the book, got their free copy of the book, and have T-shirts and hoodies on the way. Killer Mike's new Black-owned bank receives tens of thousands of account requests in less than 24 hours. The new majority Black and Latinx owned and operated digital bank hopes to make supporting Black-owned banks and businesses a little easier for consumers. Greenwood was created by Bounce TV founder Ryan Glover and his close friend, rapper activist Michael Killer Mike Render. The leadership team at Greenwood, which includes former Atlanta Mayor Andrew Young, unveiled their new platform on Thursday after raising more than $3 million in seed funding in June. Glover has been working on Greenwood since early 2019, but he said interest in the venture spiked after the police killing of George Floyd, and with America reckoning with racism, including many in the corporate world, to support Black-owned businesses and financial institutions. Many are inspired to do this now. While the bank doesn't open until January, the company launched its website on Thursday, and there are already a waiting list for those who want to open an account. And when I say we're in the tens of thousands, Glover said that number is increasing by the day. And so once again, the website, and that was initially what I was trying to pull up. And I believe it's greenwood.com. Greenwood.com. No, that is not it. Where is this website so I can give it to you again? You would think it would be in the article, unless they don't want to give them no money. They're like, they don't pay us. This is just a story, Taylor. It really isn't. You know how they be underlining things? They underline it and put a link to it, and none of Greenwood has an underline. You know what? We're going to find this because y'all need it. And I want you to leave the bank that you might be with. And if you remember the conversation that we had yesterday with Yanazdaha, she spoke about how many of the big banks that we actually do bank with, how many big banks that our mortgages are with, how many big banks that our car loans and our personal loans are with, how many banks are a part of the oil pipeline, stomping on native rights and trampling on treaties. Trampling treaties. Killer Mike Greenwood Wood Bank website. Let's be clear. Oh, Lord. And it's everyone talking about it, but no link to the actual website. I'll find it. I'll put it in the chat. I will pull it up, keep it, and have it for you guys tomorrow as well. I'm sorry that I didn't have that planned out for you, but we weren't supposed to be talking about it. Anyways, opportunity zone. So we are here in Boston with so many housing projects going up. And so if you are not already, Danielle posted the other day, Hot Sauce posted the other day the question about all of these meetings that are going around the city. So there's meetings about housing, there's meetings about meetings about meetings about meetings that absolutely get nowhere. But if you don't attend all these damn meetings, then people shun you for not being in the know of what's going on. But you pause. It's 2020 right now. I want to say between 2013 and 2017. Prince is 2018. I ran myself into the ground being at every meeting about a meeting, about a meeting, about a political meeting, about another meeting, about something that that's not even going to happen, but it sounds really good. So we're going to talk about it because we have all of these dollars that we have to spend and prove that we spent it on something. But we really just pocketed them. And so all of these meetings that are taking place, I was, in the room where it happened, recorded it, put it on Facebook so everybody else could have access to it. And then I got pregnant with Prince, and then everything else changed because while you're in these meetings, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of feelings, there's a lot of energy and emotions being transferred during this time. And I'm like, I'm not trying to have all this craziness transferred to my newborn. So I just exited quietly like Homer Simpson in the meme into a bush. And so I realized my sanity came back really quickly after I stopped being in rooms about meetings. But the truth of the matter is, during these meetings, there's a lot of bits and pieces that are played out. And if you're not in the room where everything is happening at all times, everywhere across the city, there's going to be shit that happens that is going to piss you off, and you're going to be super annoyed because you were not at one meeting, even though you went to 30 meetings in a damn month about meetings that don't do anything. And so one meeting, everybody decides to do everything during this meeting. Decisions are made, changes are made, housing is completely altered, an entire complex is built in Forest Hills, and no one during that time said that they had any clue about any of those meetings that took place. Bartlett Yard, as you guys may know, I am a part of the conversation, even though that conversation is 10 years old. I am new to the conversation because there have been people that have been engaged for the last 8 years into the project because they are getting more money and getting new permits, and the mayor made some changes to the zoning boards of appeals. Bartlett Yard is being transformed. We have Dudley that is being transformed. We have Mattapan that is being transformed. We have all of these places that are being transformed with housing that is not completely affordable based on different numbers. And there's nobody in these meetings except, Mattapan is on it. There are people in Mattapan that don't play no games, and that's the real reason why Mattapan isn't being gentrified like Roxbury is. And because a lot of the playmakers are neighborhood people who live in the neighborhood versus, CDCs. So when you take a look at Roxbury and you take a look at Mattapan and you go to the Mattapan meetings, it's a lot of residents, it's a lot of elders, it's a lot of homeowners that are like, nah, not us, not gonna happen. Take that BS over there. And so they're not able to build the way that they want to build in Mattapan because of the community engagement in Mattapan. But then when you take a look at Roxbury, you see there's a lot of CDCs, and CDCs got a lot of cash rules everything around me. And so once you have a little bit of money, you can do things differently, and it's you and all your people in the room making decisions, and community don't know a damn thing. I live in Roxbury. I can't tell you how many meetings about meetings took took place, and there was no community involvement, engagement. I walked the streets regularly. My kids walked the streets regularly. There was no door knocking. There were no signs. There was none of this. When you take a look at Common Square has like these little solar things that tell you like what's going on in the community. Don't exist in Roxbury. I ain't seen them things in Mattapan. I don't know what Common Square did, but hey, can I get one over here? I say all that to say there's a lot of housing project meetings that I've been posting on Facebook. There's a lot of, the mayors is having different meetings. A lot of BRA, Black Removal Authority, changed their name. Gunshot. I forgot what they changed it to. They're having a lot of meetings about developing the Dorchester area over there by the Expo Center. There's a lot of effing meetings going on, my dude, and we are never in the room, and we don't have, so... Chanel, shout out to Chanel, aka Remy. She has the 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. show. She's absolutely dope. R&B and chill. The Talbot Norfolk Triangle, absolutely. There was a whole survey that came out in regards to Blue Hill Ave, and what was it? Franklin Park. They had a Franklin Park survey. They had a Harambe Park survey. A lot of people don't even know what's taking place at Harambe Park right now. The fact that the whole entire greenery is fenced off. Boston police is having, like, there is a lot going on in the city, and we are not in the rooms where it happened. We're not in the Zooms that it happened, because right now everything is virtual. And so so I'm on media list across the damn city. I get from the governor to the mayor to all of the city councilors. I get everybody's press. Anything that needs to be updated for community, I try and put that on the Wake Up with Tayla Andre page on Facebook. But there are so many things as far as housing that I put on my personal page to just inform people, like, these things are happening. Slide in the room. I don't care if you don't live in Mattapan. Your auntie lives in Mattapan and you're calling on behalf, you're in the room on behalf of a family member. Like, it doesn't matter. We need to be in those rooms more often. And I know we're tired of Zooms because that's where we do our kids stuff. That's where we do our work stuff. That's where we do our business stuff. Like, Zoom is where we are all day long. We're in Zoom land. I get it. But at the end of the day, between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m., you don't have to show up anywhere. Just be in the damn room and put that ish on speakerphone. Call into the Zoom. You don't have to show your face. Put it on speakerphone. You don't have to say nothing, but at least know what's going on. So when they say something stupid, when they say something crazy, you can unmute yourself and say, nah, time out. Everybody got AirPods. Just go ahead and put the AirPods in and listen to the BS that's being said when it comes to all of these community meetings. And I think it's most important to be in the room as, like, for us to be in the room during community meetings, especially when it comes to housing. So there's a lot going on in the city. There's a lot you probably don't care about. The firefighters are having conversation. The police are having conversation. Maybe you do care about the police because you don't want to be, shot down. You want to know what's going on. You want the implementation of Obama's plan to be like all of that, right? So there's a lot of conversations. But as far as education and housing are concerned, if you have children, I think you should be in every conversation that you possibly can when it comes to education, because decisions are and have been made. And I am one of the people that is quote unquote at the table and still haven't heard nothing. Like, it's silent out here when it comes to education, except for when you look at, like, city councilors like Julia Mahia that's actually doing something. When you see Jessica Tang of the BTU, who, like, I'm not a fan of the union itself and how they conduct themselves, but I do have to give credit where credit is due. And Jessica Tang be doing her thing for these kids. So just be mindful, not just when I post it, but just when you see it posted online. And I do know Facebook, Instagram algorithms are really crazy right now. So there's a lot of things that you don't see intentionally, but I want you to be intentional and be mindful and start looking for the information for your community. The city is huge. You don't want to know everything about everyone, but be intentional about your children's school. Be intentional about your community. Be intentional even about, like, I want y'all to be so damn intentional that when it comes to the streets being dug up at 7:30 a.m., that you are so on 311 talking about this is unacceptable. Like, I that's how informed I want you, how engaged I want you to be, because we are not taught in school to be civic. We are not taught in our education systems what it means to be civic and how important it is to be civic. And I know, what's my baby's name? Jonta Austin. So you may not know Jonta Austin for his music, but Jonta Austin has made some of today's #1 hits for years. He is a singer. He is a songwriter. He is absolutely amazing. He stood in line for 11 hours yesterday, 2 days ago, to vote in Georgia. 11 hours. I don't like waiting 11 freaking minutes when I go to vote, let alone 11 hours waited in line with, he took some pictures and took some videos of people he was in line with. But and this is a black mayor. These are black police officers. This is like black, all black everything. They damn near should be in Ethiopia. That's how black everybody is, except for the damn governor. But that's another story for another day. I am so passionate about us being civically engaged and civically informed, because when you take a look at the JP Moms, so JP Moms started off as like a little Facebook group of all these JP Moms, and then they became political and they started standing their ground and putting their foot down. And right now, JP Moms can go to anybody's political anything and demand whatever the hell they want, and they damn near get it. And so while we as in C-Plan, because I'm a member of the collaborative Parent Leadership Action Network. And so I never say that out loud that long. It's always just C-Plan, so forgive me. I am a part of the group now. As a member of C-Plan, we were having conversations and continue to have conversations. And whenever like JP Moms show up, it's like, oh, damn, like the activism and the like activation of these moms. I can't say it's because they're all like unemployed and their husbands take care of them and they have all day to do it, because I don't know their stories and I can't speak on that behalf, right? But what I can tell you is that when it's time to pick up a phone, they do. When it's time to make a phone call and send an email and make a complaint, Karen is on it. And so sometimes we have this idea that like, I'm not a snitch, I'm not a Karen, I'm not this, but when it comes to politics, absolutely you should be Karen. Your name should be Karan, like own it. And we don't. We see things all the time that we don't like. We complain about it to our friends. We complain about it to our kids. We complain about it on social media, and then we're done with it. When you can call 311, complain one time, and there's an active file that has either your number and name associated to it, or you become anonymous because you can report things anonymously, or download the app and do it that way. I don't know why. You know why? I don't know why. But I am tired of people thinking that their voice doesn't matter. And when someone has the idea that voting doesn't matter, there was literally one vote. Julia Mejia won by one vote. We would be having a different city councilor if it wasn't for that one person that came out to vote. It would be a completely different city councilor. And think of the things that Julia Mejia has done in the last 200 days. No, it's been a year. She's been sworn in for a year now. So for the last year, all of the work that she's done with community, all of the conversations that she's had, how she has always interjected community at every table when they are ever trying to make a decision. She's like, yo, hold yourself accountable and look at who's not at the table and who you're not representing, because that's who elected me. That one person that got me here, and she stand on that one person. And so to me, it is important because I was there counting. I was part of the recount, and that was real. That puts a lot of things in perspective and you just don't think about it. These things happen when you're living life. So if you're not intentional about these things, that you surround yourself with, of course, you're not going to know, and it's not going to be a care for you. But once somebody, taps you and say, this is going on, it's like, damn, I didn't know, but it does matter. I don't know, like, I completely digressed. I apologize. Sorry, not sorry, because it needed to be said. Ice Cube. Fans are asking Ice Cube, how do you go from NWA to MAGA? They blasted Ice Cube for being a sellout and a hypocrite after the Trump campaign revealed he had been working alongside the president on a bid to create 3 million jobs for African Americans. Y'all ready for this tangent? Because I'm about to stand on it. This box been building quietly while we've been standing here, and I'm about to stand on it. So first and foremost, let me read the story. The controversy was first stirred after Trump's campaign advisor, Katrina Pearson, gave him a shout out for his willingness to work with the president. Although news of the unexpected collaboration was not a direct endorsement for Trump, Ice Cube, who is 51 years old, has faced a swell of backlash in the hours since. Shocked and confused fans have asked, how do you go from NWA to MAGA? And with the backlash, he decided to come out with a tweet. And the President's Platinum Plan is a 4-year program that pledges to create 3 million new jobs for African Americans. Ice Cube tweeted that his efforts were bipartisan as he reached out to both sides about his proposed contract with Black Americans. And so Katrina Pearson in the tweet says, shout out to Ice Cube for his willingness to step up and work with the real Donald Trump administration to help develop the hashtag Platinum Plan. And then it has like the website, the link where you can go and look at the public files. Leaders gon' lead, haters gon' hate. Thank you for leading. And that's Katrina Pearson. Roxanne Gay, who is an author and absolutely should be a comedian, said, good Lord, how much are they playing Ice Cube? How does this guy go from being NWA to MAGA? Ice Cube said, I would never endorse a MF like Trump, ever. But he said the whole thing. Some people are like, yo, you are my hip hop hero. My heart is breaking. How could you mess with Trump? And one of the things that he tweeted, and he being Ice Cube, this article doesn't have it, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it up for you. Because I retweeted it. It really made me mad yesterday when I read the tweet. And after I read the tweet, I was like, you guys can't be serious. So in the tweet, as I pull it up, he said, it's bipartisan, right? I went to both parties, and the Democrats told me, it might be in tweets and replies, 45, 47. Okay, facts. Ice Cube said, I put out the CWBA, which is the Platinum Plan, hashtag Platinum Plan. Both parties contacted me. Dems said, we'll address the CWBA after the election. Trump's campaign made some adjustments to their plan after talking to us about the plan, about the CWBA. This is what I wanted to say. Ice Cube put out a tweet. In the tweet, I put out the CWBA. Both parties contacted me. The Democrats said we'll address it after the campaign, after the election. Trump's campaign made adjustments to their plan, to the plan that they already had, to integrate CWBA, what Ice Cube put together, and said, let's implement this. One of the things that I want us to discuss as together, let's talk about this together, right? Let's talk about the Republican Party of 1960. Let's talk about the Republican Party of 2020. Let's talk about the Democratic Party in 1960 and the Democratic Party of 2020. And so when you look at the voting of Martin Luther King Jr., who did he vote as? Did he vote as a Republican or as a Democrat? I'll wait. Dude, I'll wait. When you take a look at what right now Republicans are doing and what their beliefs are, you know what? Hold on. We're going to take a really quick break. We're going to talk about this. We're going to take a deep dive. Let's take a deep breath. Woosah. Hold on. You guys can't go anywhere because you guys have video, but radio is on pause. What I am doing right now is pulling up Republican ideologies versus Democratic ideologies. Okay, this looks good. This looks good. I like the way this looks. I should have just looked up images. Images would have been a good. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see Republicans versus Democrats. They have like 1994, but I want something like 1950s. Is there anything for like 1950s versus 2000? Like what they believed then, how they voted then versus how we vote today. I would love if somebody could make that like a research study. And there probably is. I just am completely unaware of it. Years, Federalist, Opposition Party, Jeffersonist. I think this is judicial restraint, though. That's Texas. And Texas. I want to see like Democratic versus Republican. Oh, this is interesting. It's a Democrat versus Republican occupation. That must have been a really interesting study. I took statistics in college. First and foremost, statistics, if you're not good in math, is one of the hardest fucking things to ever learn. It is so hard. But like it really does give you perspective and breaks shit down differently. But I fell in love with statistics, even though I didn't know what the hell I was doing at all. At all. A 99th congressional seat, but that was in 1985. I want old, 50 years. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I want. Universe, thank you. Thank you. Asking you shall receive, baby. Un más? No, un más. We don't need it. I would like it. Election of 1976. That could be interesting to look at. And you guys are visually witnessing what it looks like to go down a rabbit hole. And then even though I'm looking at Democratic and Republican differences from 1950s to freaking 2000, if I continued to do this and you guys just watched me do this, we'd be on like sex positions frequently acceptable in the 1940s. Like that's the rabbit hole takes so many twists and turns. Ridiculousness. Okay, so let's pull this back up. Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre. Waking up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. Make sure you get the book, t-shirts, hoodies on the website, TaylaAndre. Make sure you download the app, Spark FM Online. Take a screenshot of it. One person could win today. We'll give something away today. We're okay with that. You okay? I'm okay. So what we were doing prior to taking a little break was just talking about civic engagement, talking about life in general and how disengaged we are civically and how much things are changing around us, and we have absolutely no, not to say regard, but we don't have any knowledge, so we can't be active. And one of the, shameless plug, in the book, one of the things that I speak about on all of the time is informed decisions. And so I feel as a real estate agent, I want my clients to make the best decisions, not what's best for me, but what's best for them based on the information that they have. And so if I give you all of this information, you can then make an informed decision that best suits what feels right, what is right for you. And so we were talking about Democrats versus Republicans. And today we are pinned together and fighting together in the other side and my colleague across the aisle. And so all of this talk about the other side not doing what the other side should be doing, the truth of the matter is it's still the same coin. They're still on the same side of each other when it comes to the American people. If we, the people, the 99%, there are 1% politicians, there are 1% millionaires, there's 1% billionaires, there's 1 freaking percent of people that control the entire world. And we are the epitome of the picture where the people look downtrodden and used and abused, and we have this board game on top of us, and the Republicans and Democrats are laughing and drinking beer and smoking weed and kiki-keying, actually not smoking weed, cigars, and kiki-keying about this game that they're playing on our backs, like literally our tax dollars on our backs. And all we have to do is stand up and the game done. Game over, party done, like that's it. We, the people, the 99%, we are the bigger population. And I truly believe, because I am a 1984 fanatic, I truly believe that if we continue to allow the governments to have the control that they currently have, we are going to see all of our rights trampled on. Don't tread on me. In that regard, in that sense, I am a Republican. Do not tread on me. Do not push your ideologies to me. Let me live my life. Unless I commit a crime against somebody else, leave me the hell alone. I get a ticket at 3 a.m. for going through a red light. My dude, can we have some common sense? I was sitting there. Nobody was coming to the left. Nobody's coming to the right. It's 3 a.m. Me sitting here look dumb as hell. I ran the damn red light. You giving me a ticket for that is treading on my rights. Did I harm you? Did I harm anybody else? No? Then leave me alone. Yo, when I went to Ethiopia and just went through red lights, I was like, are we gonna die? Like, what is he doing? There are no traffic laws in Ethiopia at all. Like, it does not exist. DR, traffic laws, don't, if no one's coming, we just go. If you stop, I go around. Like, it's common sense. And that for me is like my ideology and how I stand. Now, as far as like other things are concerned, I do truly believe that it is a woman's choice. It's your choice. It's your choice. Period. It's your choice. 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 Now, I do have some, pushback when it comes to like not informing. Like, as far as you are pregnant, you have this pregnancy with this person, and this, I do feel like that should be a conversation. You guys engaged in sex. It was great and good when y'all were huffing and puffing, and so the conversation need to be had. even though y'all gonna be huffing and puffing in another sense, angry and upset and coming at each other's throat. But I do think that if we came together as adults and created this life, then we together as adults need to be on one accord when it comes to not moving forward with creating this life and moving into a future. And so though I do believe that to be true, I do understand why decisions are made for things to just be done, because it's, in the words of Tupac, you feel me? 10 huge differences between Democrats and Republican platforms. And so abortion, Democrats believe unequivocally, like any majority of Americans, that every woman should have access to quality reproductive health care services, including safe and legal abortions. Just because you make abortions illegal does not mean it's not going to they're not going to take place. And so, you know, if you are not a licensed gun holder, if you don't have a license in a state and you have a gun, you're illegal. Like, you're still going to do what you want to do regardless of the laws. And so if you get pregnant, and what we're going to see is we're going to see a spike in damn near like overdoses. We're going to see a spike in illnesses because women are going to do whatever a woman needs to do in order to do what a woman makes her mind set on to do. And so back in the day, I know like there's different herbs, there's different like concoctions that you can take. There's different like enemas, but not enemas, like douchebags. That like you can do it like vaginally and destroy the fetus. That like there's just different ways that you can do it. So making it illegal doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It means that more women are going to be put at risk for death because they're willing to do whatever it takes in order to get this life out of them. Period. Republicans, abortion should be illegal in all cases, and the Constitution should be amended to ban the procedure. We assert the sanctity of life and affirm that unborn child has a fundamental right to life, which cannot be infringed. And this is the Republican platform. The GOP argued that supporting the constitutional right to abort was the extreme position. Same-sex marriage. Democrats applauded the U.S. Supreme Court decision that legalized same-sex marriage. Republicans completely condemned the court decision. Tayla, where do you stand? I like sex. It's who you sleep with in your bed matters not to me unless it's a damn child. So unless you're doing things with children, I don't care if you sleep with animals. Bestiality is illegal in many states, countries, like it's illegal. Providences, we can pull it up. There's laws about it all over. You can have sex with a sheep, but you can't have sex with a horse on a Tuesday. Like there's stupid ass laws regarding your bestiality. I don't care. I know what the Bible says about it, but if you want to sleep with your dog and have them kissing in your mouth and licking on you, like there's stuff like this that exists here. Taylor's not crazy. Don't believe me? Go look, go watch. It is weird. It's so weird. Yo, white people are so weird. But I don't care. And for somebody to make like laws about what you do with your body, that's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. So 5 unelected lawyers robbed 320 million Americans of their legitimate constitutional authority to define marriage as the union of a man and a woman. Union, it's a union. If you want to like add the man and woman, do that. It's like writing the date, just 2020. If you want to write 2020, that's fine. Do what you need to do, but it's still 2020. I said that wrong. I said that completely wrong. So immigration, Democrats call for fixing the broken immigration system, including a path to citizenship for 11 undocumented immigrants. Republicans embraced Trump's call for a wall along the U.S.-Mexican border, though was silent on whether to back their nominee, demanding deporting all 11 million undocumented immigrants. Where do I stand on that? I stand in the same place that the rest of us stand, on U.S. soil, where I should not freaking be, because I'm not a Native American and I'm not the Africans that came over here on a ship. They came before Columbus. No. I am undocumented. Technically, My people that came over, what did they have to do? They signed a little manifest. I am here. There was no other hoops, loops for them to jump through. They came, they saw, they conquered, they made a life, and they paid their taxes. How do I feel about what if just everybody came to the United States? We're not that dope. We're not that bomb. Do you know how many Americans are leaving America to go to Europe, to go to Africa? They will have you thinking that everybody, once we open borders, everyone is going to pour into America. That's simply not true. There are attrition. Our attrition rate, like how many people are actually, how many migrate out the U.S.? Canada just put a hold. Canada just put a hold. It was like, yo, all y'all Americans can't come over here applying for citizenship. Nah, stay over there. Go back over there. We don't want you over here. Y'all think America is so freaking amazing until black people tell you to take your ass to Africa because we living good over here. I really wish I could take my whole family. So that, for me, that's what it is. It's that $1,500 plane trip. It's those long distance calls because Nana don't have WhatsApp. It's that. It's not being able to pick my family up and put them down where I am going to be. It's not having all of my family. It's not being able to get a $250 plane ticket to go see Nana. It's not driving 45 minutes to go see my mama. It's not that simple. If I could take my whole family, put their ass on Noah's boat and drag them to Senegal, drag them. Who else is Morocco? There's mad countries that are like, black folks, y'all want to come? Come on. We got you. We got some land. We got some space. You want, come on. And I really wish that I could just pick my family up and bring them because, yes, definitely it would be me. I would be there. No problem. But that's not the way that real life works. And the way my bank account is set up, I'm not able at this point in my life to get 1,500 plane tickets every time I want to see Nana. And I also have kids. And so taking them away from their daddy is not the smartest thing for me to do when I understand the importance of fathers in children's lives. And so trust and believe that if I could, I would leave this damn country immediately, like many other Americans that are dipping very quickly. 5 facts about the U.S. rank in worldwide immigration. In 2010, 46,630,000 people living in the United States were born in other countries. Compared with other countries receiving immigrants, the share of U.S. population that is foreign-born is modest. 1 in 7 people living in the United States, 14% were born in other countries, a near historic record. By way of comparison, about 1 in 5 people, 22%, are foreign-born in Canada. In Australia, it's nearly 3 in 10 people, 28%, and in the Persian Gulf, countries such as Qatar, United Arab Emirates. Qatar is 75%. United Arab Emirates is 88%. The majority of the resident populations are immigrants, and many who have been actively recruited by foreign labor. U.S. immigration population is not as diverse in origin as those other countries. Even though the U.S. has immigrants from nearly every country in the world, it doesn't have the most diverse pool of immigrants. The U.S. has a score of 91 on the 1 to 100 diversity index. By comparison, Denmark and the U.K. have some of the highest immigration diversities, both at 97%, followed by Canada at 96%. Roughly 1 in 4, 26% immigrants in the U.S. come from Mexico. In several other destination countries, mainly Europe, immigrants are not as concentrated from one single country or from a handful of countries, but spread out. And if we're having a real conversation, once upon a time, since we're talking about Republican and Democrats and talking about the belief system about immigrants, if we're really to have a true conversation, all of Western Southern America is Mexico. take away the Mexican-American War that just happened, when you look at the like entirety of the globe, and when you look at how old, I remember when I was doing Airbnb, and one of my Airbnbs came from Europe or Spain, like France or Spain. And I was just like, oh yeah, are you going to go downtown to see like the architecture? And he laughed and he was like, architecture? You guys are babies. You guys don't have architecture. You guys have art in museums. Like, whoa there. You guys are babies in the world. And so when you take a look at history as a whole, and you look at how soon ago the Mexican-American War was in comparison to the length of time that indigenous people lived on this land, Mexicans are truly the Native Americans. Like, they're definitely descendants of that already were here. So for me, it's really a crazy conversation for us to talk about immigration when 90% of everybody, I will even take it a step further, 98% of y'all that sit here and complain about immigration had parents or grandparents that migrated to this country, and because we didn't have a government that said, take your ass back home, all we did was want for you to come and pay your taxes and we were good. Now, all of a sudden, we think we have to control everything. We don't want new people coming in. And then the fact of the matter is the United States of white America doesn't want all of these Mexicans coming in, and that's truly the problem. That's, at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with immigrants. At the end of the day, it has nothing to do with your welfare system and eating up food stamps. Like, that is not the problem. The problem is if we have all of these Mexicans, these El Salvadorians, these Amazonians, these Peruvians, if we have all these South Americans, Central Americans in America, how many white folks are there really going to be? When we had the conversation with Nahaza yesterday, where a lot of Cuban Americans are being told to put on the census that they're white because they are not reproducing, which is crazy to me that Republicans don't want you. Jane Elliott said the reason why Republicans don't want abortion to be legal is because so many of their white women are having abortions and they're not being able to procreate at the same rate as Black and Latinos. And so not only, it's called The Birth Girth, which is a book that she referred as well. So the birth girth is the idea that white people are going backwards in their numbers. And so while Black folks are out here reproducing, having babies, having kids, Latinos are having kids, they're Catholic, they don't believe in contraceptives, white people are having their 2.5 while Shanae is having her 6. And so if my 6 kids are over here with 6 jobs and 6 careers and you're 2, then though my 6 have 6, your 2 have 2, you go down that slippery slope. In a couple years, in a couple decades, the number for whites is going to become, first and foremost, they're minorities in the world anyways. Secondly, if they don't continue to have babies, based on Jane Elliott's theory, they are going to be, in a sense, non-existent because they are going to, at some point, be mixed. And so there's not going to be that pure blood Aryan race of we are the best. But at the same time, we also have to tackle, and I'm so excited that we get to have Dr. TMR in November 3rd. I will not forget that date because we are going to talk about anything and everything regarding race, politics. She is so dope on every level. I love her. But what we can and will discuss is how much we need to change our own beliefs. So another thing that Yunazda said yesterday that Dr. Martin says all the time is the fact that racism and white supremacy ideology does not just start and begin with white folks. When you take a look at ideology as a whole, we are all in this. We all perpetuate white supremacy. And so how do we perpetuate white supremacy? I don't know why I felt like somebody was just like, nah, Taylor, that's crazy. You sound dumb. How do Black people perpetuate white supremacy? 11:45. What is today? 11:45 to 12:30. I'm trying to figure out if we could get, because I am not the best at breaking that down. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. And so if I can supplement my ignorance for someone's amazingness, that is what I will do every time. And one of the amazing things about Dr. Martin is that she is able to break that down for us to understand, like, how exactly. So that conversation, she's in a meeting right now. We might have to wait until November 3rd to have that conversation about how white people in the workplace, black people in the workplace, black people at home, just how we interact with each other. We do perpetuate white supremacy on a daily basis. And it's something that is, like, in our cognition that we don't even think about it. We just do it. And so I digressed because we were talking about something completely different. In other news, women will not be prosecuted for abortion in California if Roe versus Wade is overturned by the state AG, and the state attorney general vows that he's not allowing it. That's not what's going to happen on his side. And I brought that up because we just hit Democrat versus Republican on abortion. So we already spoke about immigration, climate change. Democrats believe that climate change possesses a real and urgent threat to our economy, our national security, and the children's health and futures. Republicans cast doubt on whether the climate is actually changing, rejecting the findings of the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change as a political mechanism, not as an unbiased scientific institution with intolerant towards scientists and others who dissent from orthodox. And so where do I stand on climate change? I have very little faith in the United Nations, and one of the reasons why I have very little faith in the United Nations is for things that we have talked about in the past. If the the World Health Organization and the United Nations is like sisters with the World Health Organization. And the reason why I say that is because when you take a look at the United Nations are all countries coming together at one table and saying, we, the countries of the United Nations who sit at this table, make decisions for us and have relationship with the World Health Organization. And so the people that we have at the countries for the United Nations, we also have these same countries who sit at this table for the World Health Organization. And so if the United Nations, this intergovernmental panel on climate change, then why are we not having another conversation with the World Health Organization? And if the World Health Organization was truly about the world's health, we would then be talking about endangered species. We'd be talking about the millions, if not billions, of acres being burned down on a regular basis. We would be holding Nestle accountable for all of the water that they tap into. Nestle will move into Roxbury, tap the ground, put a pole in it, take out some water, put it in bottles, and then once the water is drained from the aquifer, go ahead, sell the land and move somewhere else. And they do that everywhere they go in the world. And if the World Health Organization was really thinking about that, and the United Nations had we'd be having completely different conversations, period. That's what I believe. Because the conversations that I'm seeing are really based on what do people them name that go lobbyists. It's all based on how much money are we going to get for this problem? How much money can these companies that we may or may not have a stake in produce on behalf of this conversation? And so it's less about the actual world health of all of the global inhabitants that live here and more about the corporations that profit off of the destruction of the world. But that's only my 2 cents, and I could be completely wrong. What are the difference between Republican and Democrats? You guys know my stance on climate change, Medicare. Democrats, they would not only fight any attempts by Republicans in Congress to privatize, voucherize, or phase out Medicare, but will also allow Americans older than 55 to enroll, where Republicans, they would end the healthcare program for the elderly as we know it, requiring seniors to enroll in a private insurance plan or face limits on how much the government will actually pay. How do I feel about Medicare? And so I live in the state of Massachusetts, and so we have Romney Care, aka Obamacare, aka Mass Health. And so have been a recipient of Mass Health. I have to tell you, and then living in Birmingham, Alabama, and having Alabama health care, I have to say without a shadow of a doubt that what the healthcare plan that we have in Massachusetts, even like Health Connector healthcare plan that we have in Massachusetts, we are one of the most blessed states in the country when it comes to healthcare. For me, healthcare is a right. So one of the conversations that I was reading yesterday when I was reading John T. Austin's 11 Hours, Mama needs some. I'm talking about Mommy needs water. My kids ain't even here right now. 11 hours in line to vote. Many countries, if you want to go to the doctors, you have to wait many hours to go to the doctors. Are other countries doing it well? Probably not. Is money the issue? Probably. But I believe I believe what Obama came out with was the absolute freaking amazing. You have one plan where you opt in and it's based on your freaking income, or you opt out and you get your own private stuff. I never understood when we were arguing about healthcare why that was such an issue, when he's like, yo, listen, if you broke and you don't have no healthcare and you apply for this and you're approved for this, then that's what you can go with. Or if you got money, you got loot, go over here and get your own private stuff. I didn't understand why that was such a problem. Yes, I do, because once the devil's in the details. When you take a look at the line items didn't match up, and Republicans were like, no, this isn't going to work. But there definitely could have been agreement that would have worked. And you want to know the real reason why this didn't work? It was because the healthcare industry is making billions of dollars. When you take a look at the healthcare industry 50 years ago, 100 years ago, you went ahead and you paid the doctor for the service in which the doctor provided. But when you really get down to the nitty gritty, the doctor used to come to your house and you could feed him soup. And then after you fed him some soup, he was like, thank you, I appreciate you. She got a fever, I'll get you some Tylenol. And that was it. Now, today, with so many, you want to stand on that soapbox for real? Let's talk about how the food is causing you to have all of these health issues that take your ass to the doctor, and now you got to pay the doctor because they went ahead and poisoned up your food. If we're going to have a real conversation, let's have a real conversation about Monsanto and the FDA. The FDA is the Food and Drug Administration, who is supposed to protect you from all of the nonsense that may or may not cause you any chemical harm, aka cancer-causing carcinogens. Then when you do, FDA, Monsanto, back to the FDA, back to Monsanto to do his little jig, and he changed up some laws, and now we're being sprayed with things that we don't have any idea what the long-term effects are. I digress. Let's take it back to the food and the water that you drink, and how many chemicals and how many pharmaceuticals and how much damage fluoride actually does to you, that countries will not touch fluoride. Same as countries will not touch Monsanto, but here in the United States, y'all could do whatever the hell you want to do to our people. So we are systematically infected with diseases that we can't class action suit them. I don't know why we don't. We should. We could. We'd get a lot of money out of it. So the food is poisoning us. Healthcare is a billion-trillion-dollar business. Doctors get paid bonuses when people get certain vaccines or take certain medications. A doctor used to make, X amount of dollars. I'm not even gonna lie. How much did a doctor make? How much did a doctor make in 1983 when Tayla was born? Let's do that. So depending on the specialty, no, that's how many doctors there were. Biggest pay raises in over 30 years. Okay, we'll read it from that perspective. Average physicians by salary by decade. I think that's a better look at what I'm looking for. 1983, a doctor's median wage was $26,100. In 2012, the median wage was $98,124, and that was an increase of 276%. It is 2020. Let's just pull this up. 2020 doctor, what is it called? Primary care, but that's not is a primary care your doctor? Doctor salary. When I tell you to do your due diligence, this is what I mean. So a Massachusetts doctor's salary as of 2020, New York is $136,000. Massachusetts is $134,000, and this is approximately at $64 an hour. Let's look for the lowest one. Is there anyone in North Carolina? Doctor salary is at $99,000 a year. In Alabama, they're pretty low too, at $108,000, and the highest are New York and Massachusetts at $134,000. And this is just general practitioner. You have a doctor behind your last name. The average salary is $136,000. And this does not include any bonuses that you may or may not receive if you have a private practice working with insurance companies. There's so many variables that I'm seeing over here. This is University of Missouri has prices and wages by decades from the 1970s to the 1979, which doesn't prove my point, which when I was in college, we were doing research, and I was just based on what I learned in college about when you do research, you can make anything, you can prove anything. Just like if you go on Google and you're like, what's this bump on my lip? It could be anything from a freaking hair bump to you have herpes. It could be anything. You can determine, you can be like, no, look, the internet said it's just a little hair bump, and you could have full-blown herpes. The internet is no different than research. You can prove whatever you want to prove based on how you put together your research, based on how you formulate your question and ask Google. And so the doctors of 1983 were making $20,000. The doctors of 2020 are making $130,000. And then there's all of these other things that the hospital then gets. And so when you take a look, I don't know, that's a really... Excuse me, I'm talking to my inner voice. My inner voice was like, how much money did hospitals generate in 1983, because that's the year I was born, versus how much hospitals generate today? So health expenditures amounted to about $1,459 per person in 1983, $122 more than 1982. Of that amount, 600 came from public funds. Hospitals accounted for 41% of total healthcare spending in 1983, and those expenditures rose to a level of 147 billion, an increase of 9.1% from 1982. And so 147 billion dollars in 1983. I am scared to look up how much did hospitals generate in 2020? Because 1983 had 147 billion. Let's take a look at these 2020 numbers. Lord, I'm nervous. Wealthiest hospitals got billions in bailout for struggling health providers. Providence Health Systems, one of the country's largest and rich hospital chains, is sitting on nearly $12 billion in cash, which it invests into Wall Street style. In a good year, generates more than $1 billion in profits. There's nothing that really answers the question that I'm asking. They do say that in August of 2020, that hospital operating margins are down 96% since the start of 2020, since the start of COVID. 45, 47. This is not, so what I'm looking for, I don't think anybody has actually done a study on, because I'm looking through the results and it's not, it just has like top grossing hospitals. So the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center grosses $9.8 billion a year. Cleveland Clinic, $9.1 billion. Let me see if there's anybody in Massachusetts. Where Massachusetts at? Philadelphia, New York, Florida, Boston. Mass General Hospital, established in 1811. Massachusetts General Hospital is the third oldest hospital in the United States. Mass General, now with just over 900 beds, is the original teaching hospital of Harvard Medical School, and it consistently ranks within the top 5 hospitals in the nation by the U.S. News and World Report. The hospital features 5 multidisciplinary care centers, including cancer, digestive disorders, heart disease, transplantation, and vascular medicine. $5.1 billion a year. But yet these motherfuckers do not pay no taxes. Yo, I don't know how I forgot about that. So you do know that hospitals and colleges are supposed to pay taxes. And because they don't pay their taxes, because they are these public entities, and because they are public entities and they take care of us, we don't bother them about their taxes. They're public entities. But what they are supposed to pay is in lieu of tax, which is 10% of what they're actually supposed to pay. And yo, Brigham and Women's is on this list at $4.3 billion. We have Mass General Hospital at $5.1 billion. Let me see if Beth Israel is on here. I'm getting really mad because they give us every excuse in the world of why they cannot pay any taxes, and 10% could sit there and fund all of our entire school system. Our kids could have the top of the line, everything. UMass Memorial Medical Center in Worcester, Massachusetts gets $2.9 billion a year. UAB Hospital, for all my Alabamians, $2.9 million a year for UAB. I am really disappointed because my math sucks, but I know that's a lot of money. So we have Massachusetts Mass General. What is that, number 14? Number 12. So Boston Mass General is 5.1 and 4.3, 9.4 billion dollars between those two hospitals. And we don't, that the 900 million, is that $900 million towards education that could be? Our kids could have top of the line fucking technology. We could have Madison Parks times 136. That's how many schools we have in the city of Boston, 136 schools. Our preschoolers at $900 million for 10% of the in lieu of tax that Brigham and Women's and Boston Medical Center should be paying, but don't. If that doesn't piss you off, like I'm so mad I'm calm. That's how mad I am. I'm so mad I'm calm. And I know every excuse right now would be, oh my God, but COVID. But you've been operating since, what, 18? What did it say? 1811? Been open since 1811. How long? Boston Medical Center, Mass General Hospital, 1811. You've been paying no taxes since 1811, no in lieu of taxes since 1811. You failed to pay the full amount of your taxes since 1811. But this 1 year of COVID is the reason why you can't pay what you owe. and this is like, it's like, oh, babe, oh my God, you caught me having sex with the nanny. I tripped and fell. Oh, you did? I get it. We accept it. We allow it. We can't be mad. We can't be mad that this dude is forever cheating on us, but every time we catch him cheating, we forgive him and say, oh, we get it. It was an accident. That's not what you were trying to do. It's not what it looks like. It's not what it looks like. One of the facts that I forgot to read, the U.S. has a lower number of immigrants, those who have left than 19 other countries, including many with smaller populations. More than 3 million people who were born in the U.S. now live in other countries, compared to nearly 16 million Indians who are immigrants. About 12 million Mexican-born people live outside of Mexico, mostly in the U.S. Even less populated countries like Syria with 5 million and Poland with 4.4 million have larger immigrant populations as a share of populations. In 2015, around 1% of Americans born in the United States live outside of the United States. And this is because we have been tried and true to the ideology that we are the best thing smoking. Since sliced ham, we are better than anyone else, and we do not think for 5 seconds that there is anywhere else that we can go that's going to give us the life that we really truly think we deserve. But I said this before, and I'll say this again. I would rather be in Africa. I would rather be getting a tan. I would rather be around people who look like me. I would rather be speaking the native language of my mother. I would rather be like, I would rather. And not many of us know the truth about who we are. All right, going back to where we were, because I digress and go down rabbit holes and talk about things that we weren't even talking about. I'm sorry, not sorry. I'm sorry. We were talking about Medicare, Wall Street. We were talking about healthcare. We were talking about the fact that healthcare in the United States is not the best. We do not have like the best medical doctors. I was talking to my friend the other day when it came to like in DR. In DR, they do things outside the box. They have limited resources. They don't have long money. Not everyone's going to go out and sue them every 5 seconds. And so they are going to do whatever it takes to save your life, even if it means completely, slicing open your throat and tying it to something else. Like it sounds crazy, but the doctors in other countries are willing to do things that we here in America are not willing to do because of regulations, stipulations, and protocols. And so it's just like, oh, we can't save them. But in DR, it's like it was really difficult to save them. And we did some things that probably would be illegal in other countries. But hey, we present Jose. Like they do things differently than we do here. Cuba has mastered what socialized healthcare looks like, though they haven't mastered other things. And so since they have not mastered other things, we tend to look down on what they have mastered and take a look at, what they've been brilliantly able to provide for their people. I personally think with the amount of taxes that I pay, it shouldn't be going in politicians' pockets. It should absolutely be paying for universal health care for all. And so I do believe in universal health care for all because the way that the healthcare system is built now and, going through the rabbit hole of how much money doctors make and how much hospitals make, I'm not truly paying the doctor for the time that I spent with the doctor. I'm paying the doctor, I'm paying the hospital, I'm paying the light bill, I'm paying for the CEO to send their son to boarding school. That's not what I want to pay for. So until I have autonomy over what it is that I'm actually paying for and making sure the doctor gets paid for this service that he or she did and provided, then no, I don't think I should have to pay $7,000 to give birth. No, I don't think you spent $7,000 on equipment in human resource to bring my child into the world. We are one of the most expensive countries to give birth in. A C-section is, oh my God, so much money in comparison to other countries. So yes, until we're able to actually cut CEOs, and what's my girl's name? Katie. Oh my God. Katie Porter is a beast. Katie Porter is the politician that my heart thinks she is. Katie Porter is a beast. And she recently, the CDC director, she whiteboards people. So she does this number and that number and this number and that number. And she did it to a pharmaceutical CEO, and I want you to hear how Katie Porter digs in people's ass. I love her. I love how she conducts herself, and she's real.
Gentlemen,
so if for me, as far as healthcare is concerned, Medicaid is concerned, if we were able to make sure that CEOs weren't getting top dollar, here she go, Katie.
Does it ring any bells?
She wrote $13 million on a whiteboard.
My compensation in some way.
Katie Porter took a former pharmaceutical CEO to task at congressional hearing on drug pricing. Her questioning was about an expensive cancer treatment drug called Revlimid.
How did the drug improve? If I were to look at a pill and analyze it from 2005 when it cost $215 and I was looked today at when it cost $763, would that pill be the same? Over 2 years, the last 2 years, just because Celgene raised the price of this one drug, Revlimid.
His
I received
annual
very
salary.
generous compensation, but I don't know the exact number that you're referring to.
In fact, you personally received $500,000 personally just by tripling the price of Revlimid.
Pricing decisions for our medicines were guided by a set of long-held principles that reflected our commitment to patient access, the value of a medicine to patients in the healthcare system, the continuous effort to discover new medicines and new uses for existing medicines, and the need for financial flexibility.
So you heard what he just said, right? That is the political correct. They sat there and researched that. It took them 3 days to write that statement. That took them forever to that statement alone. That statement alone is exactly like every congressional hearing is always that writer that makes it go like, listen.
Price of Revlimid.
Pricing decisions for our medicines were guided by a set of long-held principles that reflected our commitment to patient access, the value of a medicine to patients in the healthcare system, the continuous effort to discover new medicines and new uses for existing medicines, and the need for financial flexibility.
The need for financial flexibility as me tripling the price of this one medication. Mind you, we have like 200 medications in our arsenal, but the tripling of this one medication that people needed, and I believe, I forgot what the need for that medication was, but for this medication, tripling it made you $500,000, $500,000, and there's 300 other pills that you increased as well, and the CEO got paid out of. And so while I'm over here struggling with whatever ailment I have, paying out of pocket $10,000 because I don't have health care a month for pills while the CEO is sitting on bank, then no. Until that is fixed, then absolutely the United States needs to do health care for all, because we're not doing it right and CEOs are getting all of the money. Wall Street. Democrats, the party promised to vigorous implementation, enforce and building the banking regulations enacted to curb risky practices by financial institutions, and will stop dead in its tracks every Republican effort to weaken it. Republicans blame the Great Recession on the government's own housing policies, not Wall Street's actions, and called the banking regulations an excuse to establish unprecedented government control over the nation's financial markets. Wall Street, when you take a look at the whole movement, if you know what Tayla Andre, you know how I feel about we are the 99%. When we shut down Wall Street in New York, when we shut down Wall Street here in Boston, the financial district, when we shut that down, I was the proudest mama on earth. People weren't going to work. Companies had to slow down business because everybody was outside in their tents. Nah, this is not happening. I'm reading a book, and you guys know I suck at reading, so I'm audio booking this book called More Money Than God. I have, they don't pay us, so I'm not going to tell you how I listen to my audiobooks. But on my audiobook, More Money Than God by Sebastian Malby, narrated by Alan Nebethulum. I love the book. So the book really talks about the financial situation over the last 50 plus years. And so there's a lot of game changers that were active in the 50s and 60s and 70s that are still active today. And he says George Soros's name, George Soros, the guy that pays for Black Lives Matter, he says his name a million times in this book. And so learning about the financial game, learning about stocks, bonds, and how money makes the world go round. And listening to this book, I learned that people that have absolutely nothing to do with government, but know how to move money and know how to play the game of money, control countries. Literally controlling countries in the back rooms, having conversations that have all this political influence and affluence, that these conversations are not seen, heard, discussed, or even considered when we're looking at some of the political decisions that are made. It's really backed by somebody with some money that needs something to go a certain way. And so how do I feel about Wall Street? I feel like Wall Street is the devil. Wall Street, we have given them all of these rights when it comes to the banking system. How many times have I itched and complained about the fact that we slap the damn banking system on the wrist? How many times I've read the introduction of the book, Finally Home, and spoke on the discrimination that has been taking place in the housing industry when it comes to loans in the banking system, and the banking system to this day still having to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to consumers that they jacked out of a mortgage, that they as far as diversity is concerned, and a black man and black woman couldn't get X amount of dollars, but a white family could. All of this discrimination cases going on with the banking system. When you take a look at that and how we bailed out the banks, but we didn't bail out the public, I could care two shakes about Wall Street. But Wall Street makes our world go round. Our entire, the reason why banks are open only until 5 p.m. Bankers' hours. Well, I get off of work at 5. So I kind of need the bank open a little later so I can get there. Or I don't even have a job, or I have to leave my job to get to the money that I want. Iran. Democrats, President Barack Obama's agreement to relax economic sanctions on Iran in exchange for curbs on its nuclear program verifiably cuts off all of Iran's pathways to the bomb without resorting to war. Republicans, the deal gravely threatens our security, our interest. Most of the time when we go to war, baby, it has nothing to do with what the leader is doing to their people. We are not real saviors. We just go in there and act like we're Captain Save a Hoe, but what we're really trying to do is rape the hoe. And so when it comes to our finances, that exactly is what we are doing when it comes to oil, raping the resources out of the Middle East. Do you know the Middle East has so many artifacts that they won't let us touch? We, the United States, Europe, we want to get in Iran, Iraq, all of the countries that they won't let us touch. We want to get in there because there's facts in there. There's biblical facts in there. There's historical facts in there. There's scrolls. They have so much effing knowledge about technology. They have so much knowledge when it comes to UFOs and space, and there's so much that they are not sharing with us, and we just want to get in there and suck them freaking dry. We, United States, are not Captain Save a Hoe. We just want to rape a hoe. That is truly how we conduct ourselves as a country, thinking we're going to, letting our citizens believe that we're going to save these citizens when it has nothing to do with the citizens at all, but it has to do with what it is that we can get from these countries. And it's on my heart and it's on my soul right now to think about how many, because of the bombing, because of 9/11, if you want me to go down that 9/11 rabbit hole of what we wanted and who we were raping in order to get what we wanted to get, to the detriment of how many Americans, to the detriment of how many of those in Northern Africa, because it's on the Northern African tectonic plate. There is no Middle East tectonic plate. We just named it the damn Middle East. The Northern African area, how many children no longer have parents? How many, and when you take a look at all of these like Marvel movies and you take a look at all of these like superhero movies and like sci-fi movies, it's always that little kid that has their parents, lives destroyed, lives that killed, and they have this anger and animosity inside of them. How many, not insurgents, the terrorists, how many terrorist-minded babies did we create when we bombed countries? When we're still in their country with guns and camouflage, and we know for a fact that the United States does not hold accountable our soldiers. So when our soldiers were in Vietnam raping women, burning kids, when our soldiers were in Peru, was in Panama, the Panama Canal, raping people, we never held them accountable. Ever. We put them in conditions and let them run free and told them, hey, it is what it is. Never hold them accountable. And we know how, knowing that idea, knowing that ideology, and just sending them free in these countries to do what they want. The reports are going to come out 30 years from now of the things that we truly did when we were overseas. Sebastian Cole said yesterday, if we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it. No, he said something else that was hilarious. I can't think of it, but we truly are doomed to repeat it, and we do repeat our history because we don't properly teach our history. And we don't properly teach our history because we want to be perceived as these amazing people that saved everyone. Time be flying. When I tell you, the show is supposed to have commercials, music. The show's supposed to have breaks. I can run my mouth for 2 hours straight without a problem. And it don't, like, for it to be 12:48, the time flies by so fast. Money in politics. Democrats, they want to overturn the Citizens United decision with which eased restrictions on corporate and union campaign spending. We need to end secret, unaccountable money in politics by requiring a thorough executive order or legislation, significantly more disclosure and transparency by outside groups, federal contractors, and public corporations to their shareholders. Republicans are like, listen, I have joined the political arena, so that the powerful can no longer beat up on people who cannot defend themselves. Truth of the matter, money in politics, all politicians, Republican, Democrat, or any other, all of them want the bread. All of them want the money. We are humans. Republican, Democrat, black, white, we are humans. And as humans, we conduct ourselves a certain way. And so there is no, there's no disregard. Like, can we please? There is a lot of money in politics. Because if you are able with the swipe of your pen to change, to alter, to completely take us off course, with just the signing of your pen, baby, what do you want? What do you need? However, I can give it to you. I'm going to give it to you. What do you, I got all this money. What you want in money? How you want me to take care of your kids? What favors do you need? I got you. And these are called lobbyists. These are legal. The lobbyists are legal people that walk through the halls of the State House. That walk through the halls trying to figure out what person needs this. Y'all saw Kevin Spacey, House of Cards? Not far-fetched. The storylines might be different. Oh, it's muted? We're all muted? You can't hear me? Well, that was at 12:37. That was a while ago. I think we were muted at that time. And I'm sorry. Hey, Paula, how you doing? It's been a while since I was checking comments. Hi, Sadi. Good rising. I can't believe how much time has passed so quickly. Voting rights, Democrats, the party said it would fight laws requiring certain forms of voter identification to preserve the fundamental right to vote. The leader of the 1963 landmark Selma to Montgomery Voting Rights March that Rep. John Lewis helped nominate Clinton for presidency. Republicans' GOP platform endorsed the state efforts to impose voter identification requirements. It just, for crying out loud, the fact that Johnson Austin had to wait 11 hours to vote is problematic. People on the left support government-regulated economy. The United Nations led the U.S. military actions using eminent domain for private gain, banning guns, taxpayer funding for government charities, special treatment for selected minorities, personal freedom, non-interventionist foreign policy, tolerance of others, personal choice, civil liberties and privacy, separation of church and state, ending corporate welfare. And people on the right support government-regulated morality, military adventurism, war on drugs, U.S. Patriot Act, tax-paying funding of faith-based charities, special treatment for selected corporations, economic freedom, robust national defense, respect for others, property use rights, individual rights to keep and bear arms, giving generously to help those in need, advancing based on individual abilities. So we're doing left versus right. There's a difference. Republicans are against same-sex marriage, where Democrats are for same-sex marriage. They are against gun control, while Democrats are for gun control. Obamacare, Republicans are against it. Democrats are for it. protection of the unborn. Republicans are for, Democrats are against it. School prayer. Republicans are for it, Democrats are against it. Balanced budget. Republicans are for, Democrats are against it. But it seems fiscally that Democrats are the ones that try and save as much money as possible, where Republicans are like at the strip club just throwing ones. Extending tax cuts. Republicans are for, Democrats are against it. But it seems like these are all in theory, but it seems when it comes to tax cuts, a lot of the corporations when it comes to Republicans really support like corporate tax cuts, where Democrats are for like public tax cuts. Domestic oil exploration, Republicans are for it and Democrats are against it. And I'm definitely against it in the sense of we shouldn't be, like, oil is not what it's cracked up to be. We take it. So I haven't liked oil ever since Fern Gully. I have not been for the oil movement since Fern Gully. And so if you know anything about the Disney movie Fern Gully, the smoke, the evil smoke. Oh my gosh. I was so against the evil smoke. But I did as a child always believe, like, why can't we do these things that make Earth better or help us be better? And as an adult, I still ask this question, and I'm always hit with the answer from either others or internally within myself it's always about money. We can never do what's right for people because money's involved. We never do what's right for society because money's involved. We never do what's right for the global health of all because of money. And I think that we have gotten so far away from what's actually important and what actually makes us wealthy. I feel the richest when my kids are laughing and playing and enjoying one another. That is when I feel at my wealthiest. I am at my richest when I am surrounded by my family, which is one of the reasons why I will not get up and leave the United States, because I can't take my family with me. Or I don't want to go nowhere, so I can't kidnap them, though I am very well at kidnapping. I just wish I could wave a magic wand sometimes and make the changes into the world that I wish to see. But I do understand that I can only continuously pray for wisdom and be the change that I want to see. Even though my little match can light other matches, I wish I could just light a bomb and change some things drastically. But that's not the way life works in the real world, right? So I can only do what I can do. I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. I am Tayla Andre. Waking up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. Today, we didn't even talk about what we were supposed to talk about. We didn't even talk about like the news we were supposed to talk about. Today is called Soapbox. I stood on a damn soapbox and spewed my rhetoric. Lord have mercy. I really want to play this song for you because I fell in love with it, and I hope that you like it too. It's called Can't Keep Running In and Out of My Can't Keep Running In and Out of My Life. But it's a new rendition of it. Can't Keep Running, and his name is Gordon Banks, G-U-O-R-D, Gordon Banks. Can't Keep Running. And so we are going to end the show with this beautiful song. I thank you, I love you, I appreciate you. Everything Tayla Andre, Tayla Andre. And go ahead and download the Spark FM online app. Send me a screenshot of that, and you can get you a digital copy of the book, a physical copy of the book. You can get you a t-shirt or a hoodie, whatever you want. Just download the app. Tayla Andre. I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope you have an amazing day. Mwah.